Hey everybody, I'm Steph.
I'm Michael
Today we're checking out Formosa Tea.
from So Games
Yes,
and provided to us by Taiwan Board Game Design.
because this is currently on Kickstarter for
Yo.
a second edition revamp. So what you see that we're showing you is the new board with slightly different changes to the rules.
And there may be changes yet to come with this board because we currently have taped up spots on the board.
It's a work in progress, but
It's currently on
Kickstarter, so
you know the rules. You know what Jelfie is going to say. She's going to say it right up here in the chat.
Yeah.
Don't wait or it'll be too late. See?
Exactly.
That's good timing, Jelfie.
Yes. So if you missed out on the original print run of Formosa Tea, this is a great opportunity because they've done some work, they've updated the rules, and so you can join in on that.
That's right.
Elevation
Games.
How's it going?
We are starting Formosa Tea, but first we're going to thank TBD for sending us this copy of Formosa Tea, but they didn't give it to us in exchange for this video. They gave it to us because they know we like to play all the games. So let's go ahead and take a look at this game while I teach you all the rules.
Yes, and for those who just joined in, this game is currently on Kickstarter for the second version of
second edition,
second version Formosa Tea.
So each player is going to get a player board and all of the components. If you are playing with more than 2 players, you're not going to need an extra tea master. The tea masters are the one that have the flat cap on. The farmers are the ones that have the little pointy hats on. So farmers, pointy hat, masters, flat hat. If you are playing with 2 players, whenever you set up the event cards, you are going to place the tea masters after the second event card. So, running real quickly through setup, we are basically, I should mention, we are trying to get as much prestige as possible by collecting tea from the fields and then processing the tea, putting it into our tea processing areas, then eventually taking the processed tea, storing it in the warehouse to later be sold either on the export market or the domestic market. Or you might use this tea to create scented tea, which can basically increase the values of your teas that you create. So, when you are playing with 4 players, you're going to place flower bud discs, all 16 of them, onto the game board. When you're playing with 2 or 3 players, you're not going to use this leftmost column, and you'll only use 12 of the 16 discs. Oh, wait a second. Did you take out the right ones?
I think so.
There are 5 orange out. Yes, there are 4 red and 3 green.
Yep.
Just making sure that's what we had. So put all of the tea cubes into the cloth bag and put 3 onto each of the discs. You'll shuffle all 4 weather tiles, even above this column here. You're going to shuffle these up. These are double-sided tiles. Basically, I just throw them up in the air and then place them as close as I can to on here. You'll notice that the 0 means it's very dry. There's not a lot of moisture in the tea leaves. The 2 shows that it's very wet. The tea will grow there more easily. However, the tea leaves are going to be good and soggy. So, you're going to choose, like I say, you're going to choose your color and put your discs on the domestic track, on the score track, and on 3 of the 3 technology tracks. Each player is going to take all of your people. You'll start off with 2 farmers and 2 masters. You won't get your 3rd master in a 2-player game until after the second round is over. You're going to sort the merchant cards by 3 different stages. All of the stage 1 cards should be shuffled together and put on top of the deck. Then the level 2 cards in the middle and level 3 cards at the bottom. Then you're going to deal a 4x3 grid next to the game board. You're going to shuffle up all the historical events, draw the top 6, and then put them in chronological order. You won't need the rest of the event cards. So you'll notice we have 1868, 1869, 1874, 1925, 1936, 1964. Currently, you'll see that we have Chinese and German here, so we'll have to go to the rules to check the effects for these events. Steph has been chosen as the start player. The second player will draw a random tea cube from the bag and put the tea cube in their basket at level 1. The third player will draw 2 cubes. The fourth player will draw 3 cubes. So there are advanced rules that you don't have to play with character cards, but if you do, you're going to draw a number of character cards equal to the number of players plus 1. Going counterclockwise from the last player, each player will choose 1 card to play, and that basically gives you a special ability. So, in a 2-player game, there's going to be 6 rounds, as you can see here.
Thanks for
following, Massive. We're going to play 6 rounds. In a 3-player game, you're going to play 5 rounds. In a 4-player game, you're going to play 4 rounds. In each round, there are 2 phases, the worker phase and the cleanup phase. In the worker phase, beginning with the start player, we're going to do one of the following 5 actions with our workers. Workers includes farmers and masters. However, there are certain things that only masters can do. So, the first thing you can do is to harvest tea and advance on the tea processing track. You place 1 worker on an unoccupied tea plantation space, and you either take all the cubes of 1 color or 1 cube of each color on the space. So, for example, if I were to go here, I could take 2 orange or an orange and a purple. The purple is actually black tea. The orange is oolong, and the way I remember that is the O, orange and oolong. And the green cubes are for what? Green tea. You are correct. So,
yay.
Your tea basket can hold at most 6 cubes. Your tea basket consists of everything from 0 moisture to 2 moisture, level 2 moisture. Even though this looks like 3 baskets, this area is called your basket. So you can hold at most 6 cubes. Here's the catch. You cannot discard cubes to make room for new cubes. If you were to get new cubes and you already have 6, you cannot get any more cubes. After you take the cubes, so like I would put this guy out here, after I take these cubes, and put them on the basket at the correct moisture level. Notice these would be at moisture level 0 because I have a 0 on that column. Then I place them here. And then if there are any tea masters in this row, for example, if I had already placed here, or even if Steph had already placed here, then we are going to, beginning with the active player and going clockwise, we are going to advance our tea masters a number of spaces equal to the number of workers on the track. Hey, I get to go forward 1 space and take the action on the space that I pass through. If there were a second person out here, then I can go 1, 2, and take both of these actions. This is a change, from what I understand, from the first edition rules. It used to be where if you went 2 spaces, you would jump over that space, going to the second space, and you could take this action only. I might be mistaken with that, but when I was reading on the forums yesterday, this is one, I believe this is one of the changes in the first edition to second edition.
I played the first edition, so I can't remember it now.
So can't remember because it was 2019 when we played.
Yeah.
So, or instead of going 2 spaces or 1 space or 3 spaces, I can choose to just go all the way to the end. I don't activate any of these effects at all. I just go directly to the end. I cannot go forward one and then go directly to the end. I can't do that. I either go 2 spaces, activating them both, or jump all the way to the end. So if you're already on the last space, clearly you're not going to do anything more. So that's the first action you can do, is to harvest tea and advance everyone on this processing track. If Steph were on there, she would also get to move forward and do her things. So the second thing you can do is tea processing. There are 3 raw tea processing tracks: oolong, black, and green, going from top to bottom: orange, brown, purplish brown, and green. There's also a scented tea track. So what you're going to do is place one of your tea masters onto the processing track, and then move all of your tea cubes of that color from your tea basket onto your corresponding spot in your player board on your tea processing areas. Here for oolong, here for black tea, here for green tea. Now, if you've got things, let's go ahead and move some of these cubes over here. I'm just going to take all these orange ones. Let's say this was at 0 and these were at 2. What you're going to do is you're going to move them all over, and you're going to put them into the spots that match your moisture level. So I'm placing both of these at a moisture level of 2 in the orange area and a 0 in the orange area. If 3 or 4 cubes were moved over, hey, I moved 3 over. That's pretty good. Up here, you'll notice if you move 3 or 4 cubes over, you get to advance on that corresponding technology track. So boom, I get to move my blue disc up to where Steph is. Steph already gets to start there because of her character, but I would get to catch up to her, putting my disc on the 1 space. If I move over 5 or 6, then I get to go 2 spaces on the technology track. Anytime you pass over an icon, you immediately carry out the effect. Anytime you pass over one of these yellowish orange tokens, you get to keep it as a technology that you now know how to use. Anytime you pass over a green, the green discs are one-time tokens. Oh, look at the pretty green screen. You get to carry out this effect one time, and then you give up the token. You don't have to use it immediately, but you can if you want. So you'll also notice that there is a 0 flavor area. It looks like a little pot right here. Through various actions over here, you can move over cubes from your normal area over to the flavor area. If I were to sell this tea, or to put this tea in the warehouse and be done with it, then it would have a moisture level of 4. I've got 2 cubes at the 2 level and 1 cube at the 0 level. 2 times 2 is 4 plus 0 is 0. This is a tea with a moisture level of 4. Let me tell you, that's going to be some poor tea. What you want to try to do, preferably, is to bring the moisture level down, and alternatively or additionally move some of these cubes over to the flavor area, and that's going to improve the quality of your tea. I'll talk a little bit about that in just a second, but let me talk a little bit about the spaces that are on those tea tracks, and Steph can point those out if she will. The wither effect, if you can point to that first one, Steph, reduces the water level of 1 cube by 1. Both of those up there are both wither. So I would take my 2 moisture level and move it down to a 1, or the 1 to a 0. Fixation is a heat treatment, and that lets you reduce the water level of 1 or 2 cubes by up to 2. You get to move 1 from 2 to 0, or a pair of 1s to a 0, or a pair of 2s to a pair of 1s. There's the rolling ability, which is right down here, which lets you move 1 cube with a water level of 1 to move it over to the flavor area. I call this moving a cube to Flavor Town. So, moving it over here, just like so. Oxidation is this one here. Move a cube with a water level of 2 to the flavor area. Drying is to move 2 cubes with a water level of 0 to the flavor area. And scenting, place a flower bud disc from your reserve. These are all flower bud discs. Place a flower bud disc onto your scented tea area. This is going to be good for creating scented teas. And I'll tell you a little bit about how to score those scented teas in a bit. If you use, I already mentioned the 3 to 5 cubes. I already mentioned that one. Sorry. If you decide you want to make scented tea, you'll place your master on the scented tea track instead of one of the normal 3 tracks. Now you're going to have cubes over here in your warehouse area. So let's pretend like I've already got these. It doesn't matter what quality this tea is at. What you need to do is to move over 1 to 6 cubes from this area over to the scented tea area. They all have to be the same type of tea. You can't put oolong and black together. And notice I am on the scented tea area. Hopefully I've got me a nice yellow disc, orange disc to put right there, because the orange disc matching the orange tea is going to give me more points than if I had a green disc there. Green is still going to give me some points. Orange is going to give me more points. So, let's talk a tiny bit about the tea technology discs. Those are those discs that you went over that are on the tea technology tracks. You can use up to 2 of these type of discs on your tea processing areas, and you can use them at any time. So let's put my discs back where they were. If I were to use this disc, notice I can move 2 discs from the 0 over to the flavor area. I would just do that at any time. It does not take an action, but notice you only have 2 spots available to place this disc. This disc will free up once I have finished processing this tea, moving it to my warehouse, and then it will remove this disc, and then I can use this disc at any time I want by putting it on maybe a different column to help process that tea. So your bonus action tokens are the green ones, and these green tokens, like I say, you can, they're one-use tokens. During your turn, you can use at most 1 of those green bonus tokens. After you use it, just put it, throw it back to the supply. There are only 2 of them, and they are the ship and the Tea Masters Advance spots. What these tokens are is to immediately do a sell to the global market action. We haven't talked about that, but that allows you to do that, and you can do any of these cards in the stack. You'll notice that that's not always the case. You can usually only do the rightmost column. This will let you do any of them. This will let you move 1 of your Tea Masters twice and do the effect of both of them. So if my Tea Master were here, I could go here, perform this action, and here and perform this action. The first edition had this ability as move a Tea Master 1 space and carry out the effect twice. This has changed for the second edition. According to Smooks, he is confirmed that it will be move 2 spaces and carry out each effect. So, that's the first thing you can do. This is the second thing you can do. The third thing you can do is tea completion. Let's say that I had this here and I didn't do anything with my tea. And I've moved my Tea Master all the way over here. When your Tea Master is at the last space, you can take these actions. First, retrieve your Tea Master, because he's just standing there. He's the one that's going to be completing your tea. Oh, look, I can use him in a future action this round. So I could use this multiple times if I can find a way to get him up there, move him over, and take him back. So you could use them multiple times in a round. Then you're going to evaluate the quality of your tea. If the water level is 3 or higher, hey, this is poor tea. You're going to put it in the poor tea spot, right like that. So you're not going to want poor tea, but remember, you can use any quality of tea for scented tea. If the water level is 0, meaning you've got nothing in any of the other water moisture levels, and there are at least 2 cubes in the flavor area, this is good tea. This is what you want. So notice I've got a 0 here. All of the flavor cubes are at 0. So this is a water level of 0, and there are 2 cubes in the flavor area. All of this will go in the good area. This is this red symbol. Whenever you move over 3 to 6 cubes, you are going to earn somewhere between 3 and 15 points for moving it to the good tea area. Finally, if it's somewhere in between that, if the water level is not 3 or higher, or your water level is 2 or less, but you don't have 2 cubes in the flavor area, it's going to be normal tea, and it's put down here at the bottom. This is this blue character. You got black, red, and blue. The reason I point this out is because that's not the order that these are on the cards. For example, this orange card, you'll notice it goes red, blue, and black. As you might expect, good, normal, and poor quality tea. So keep in mind, it goes bad, good, normal in your warehouse. So make sure to keep that in mind. So store your tea in the warehouse, and you have finished completing your tea. Now, what happens if you have done scented tea? That's a little bit different. Let's pretend that I had 2 of these discs here in the scented tea processing area and 3 cubes over here. Remember, you could have 1 to 6 cubes in this area. What you're going to do once you have moved your master all the way to here, how you score these scented teas is this. You're going to count up what discs you have in this area. You can have a maximum of 3 discs in this area because look, 1, 2, 3 scented tea discs can be placed before you get to the end. So I've got an orange and a green. The orange matches the color, but the green does not. Because I am making orange scented tea, this is going to be worth 2 scent points. This is going to be worth a single scent point. So I have 3 scented point, I guess 3 scent points here, and 3 cubes. 3 times 3 is 9. I'm going to get 9 points for this batch of tea. If I had 3 orange cubes and 3 orange discs and 6 orange cubes, that's huge. That's 2, 4, 6 times 6 is 36 points. That's what you really want.
That's a lot of points.
But remember, 2 for a disc that matches, 1 for a disc that does not match.
But if you had one green cube, that would match.
If I had one, sorry.
Can you only put one color here?
Only put one color here.
Yes.
Yes. So, for each flower bud disc that matches your color, for example, in my example here, I had 1, I will get to move that technology track up 1 spot. If I had 3 orange, I get to move up 3 spots. Seems pretty fantastic, right? Then, anytime that you sell tea from your warehouse, or you have sold the not placed it in your warehouse, but actually processed the scented tea. Basically, you are putting these back into the bag. Whenever you sell to the global market or sell to the domestic market, any used cubes go to the bag. So let's put these back into our tea area here. So first thing you can do, second thing you can do, third thing you can do to put tea in basket, move tea to middle, put tea in warehouse. Those are the first three actions. The fourth action you can take is to export tea. That's sell to the global market. This is slightly changed from the first edition. You get to put one of your workers onto one of these export spaces that does not already have your worker. So keep in mind, if I've already got 3 guys out here, I am not going to be able to place a 4th guy. It doesn't matter if Steph's guys are out here, I can still share the spot with Steph. The first player to place a master here, notice the first player to place a master, gets to do the export action twice. I assume, though I can't really confirm on the rules, I assume that if Steph were to come and just place a normal worker, she could take the export action once, but that part is not clear. It may be that she can't place here at all because it might only be for the first player to do so. We did not have that confusion in our first game because we did not sell as much. So we might have to ask that question. So what you're going to do for the export action is you can fulfill any of these orders on the rightmost column. For example, I want to fulfill this order. So I will get 2 points if I am selling good tea, 1 point if I'm selling normal tea, or 1 point if I am selling poor quality tea. Now, why would it matter if I'm selling poor quality versus normal quality? Well, with poor quality, you don't get to keep this card. So, and that is important for getting bonus points at the end of the game. The farther you go on these tech tracks, the more bonus points you get for cards of a certain technology. For example, I want my oolong track to be as high as possible with this, because if I can get it past this area, I'm going to get 1 point for every oolong card at the end of the game. If I can get this past this area, I'm going to get 3 points for each oolong card. And the same is true for black, 2 and 4. The same is true for green, 3 and 6 points per card of that type. So if it's good or normal, you get to keep this card. If it's poor tea, you don't get to keep the card. Now you can fulfill these with cubes of mixed qualities. For example, if I am fulfilling this card that takes 2 greens, which are these little clear that you can't see because of the green screen, 2 greens and an orange, they might be of varying quality. You're going to choose the lowest quality, and that's how much you're going to get. So, in addition, you will also get to take the bonus action shown on the merchant card. And for example, if you did this oolong, you would get to do a harvest tea action. With the black tea, you will get to take a tea master bonus movement action. And on the green cards, you will get to take a move any one technology track action. So, the last thing now, once you have fulfilled this, the other cards are going to move over towards the right. Now, this one can be completed. So if I had this action where I could do 2, I could indeed fulfill this card. Finally, this is the 5th type of action you can take to sell to the domestic market. Place a worker on this space. It doesn't matter if you already have workers there. It doesn't matter who has workers there. This can hold as many as you want. Then you spend 2 cubes that are the same to move 2 spaces. Dink, dink. Or 3 different cubes to move 3 spaces. If you move over a space that has a symbol on it, you get to do that symbol. If you move onto or through something with a token, you get the token for use later. You don't have to put these tokens directly on the board. Steph did it just because it's going to make things really easy to find.
Forget.
If you have no more workers in your supply or at the last space of the tea processing track that you can retrieve in order to move things over and make it'll give you another worker to use, you must pass. But when you pass, you can't use any of your bonus tokens. You can't use your tech track tokens. You can't, let's say I've got a tea master here and I can't do anything and I pass. Steph goes here, which will push me along. Hey, I can now do something. Nope, I've already passed. I will not be able to process my orange tea and move it to the warehouse because I've already passed. I can't now do that. If she were to move me along, I would actually get to take this action. I just can't use bonus action tokens, nor can I pull back guys from here once I have passed. Move this back. Then we're going to do the cleanup phase. First, we're going to advance masters on the processing track. So let's say, Steph, we're here. There is one worker in this row. Steph can move one space and do that action. If there were two workers in that row, she's going to get to move forward two spaces. She cannot do the thing where you just jump over to the last space.
Aw.
That's for cleanup only. You cannot do that. Okay. You can move forward two spaces and carry out those things. Still, you're going to execute all of those things. And if you don't need them, you really haven't lost anything.
Yep.
So, then you're going to resolve the historical event card, removing the round marker from it, or just get rid of the card entirely. Some of these cards have end game scoring bonuses, and for those, you probably need to leave them out so people can see them. Just remove the round marker from them so that you can tell that round's already been completed. Once we finish the second round, hey, we're going to get the bonus masters if we're playing two players. Retrieve all of your workers. So retrieving all the workers. If there is anyone on the tracks, notice these guys stay where they are if they're on the tea processing track. Then you're going to adjust the weather tiles. Take the leftmost tile, move it to the front, scooting all the other one down, and then flip this tile. I don't want to reveal this and let myself know what's on the back of this, so I'm not going to do it right now, but that is what you do. Move this to the right side and flip it over. That's going to change each of these rows' dryness. Then you are going to add new tea cubes. You're going to add one cube to each of these field spaces. Even if there's no disc on them, you're going to get one cube in every space as up to a maximum of 3. You're going to get 2 cubes on each of the 2 rows up to a maximum of 3. Now, just in case you're running out of cubes in the bag, you must do this starting with the right-hand column, moving over towards each left-hand column. If you run out of cubes, you run out of cubes. And you don't fulfill anything beyond that, going right to left. Then you're going to refill the merchant cards. If we've managed to shift several of them right, you're going to fill in new cards from the side. Again, you're going to do those from right to left. If the deck is exhausted, hey, no more merchant cards. Finally, you're going to pass the start player token, one space clockwise, and you're going to continue from there. The game ends after the 6th historical event has been processed. You're going to get the VP that you see above the domestic market. You'll notice these numbers have been changed from the original edition of the game. So a maximum of 30 points. You don't score these as you get them. You'll score them at the end of the game. So I would qualify for 25 points at this space. You're going to score all of your merchant card rewards on your technology tracks, whether you get 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, or 6 points based on the cards that you've acquired, the merchant cards. Finally, you're going to get VPs from these historical event cards. For example, this card, whoever has the most black tea merchant cards is going to get 5 points at the end of the game. And if multiple players are tied for a ranking, they both get the full VP, or they all get the full VP. Players tied for second place get nothing. So, I believe that is all the rules, Steph. You'll see that there are some different things on here that do not match. For example, these two water level cubes, moving them to flavor. These are now changed to 0 to 2. We just don't have those tokens available, so we are using these instead. I believe that is just about all that has changed from first to second edition, because I know a lot of people are going to want to know that. So the board, a few things on the board, one of the tokens, one of the bonus token abilities, and that's pretty much all I know of that has changed. A few rules here and there, like moving over the spaces.
But yeah.
You don't jump to the space. You move through every space. So yeah.
Nice. Well, that was the rules teach. We are going to do a separate video for the playthrough. So if you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, be sure to check out the playthrough.
Link will be below.
Yes.
So if you enjoyed this rules teach and you want more just like it, or you want to see playthroughs, hey, come join us on YouTube at BoardGamerSteph, or you can join us on twitch.tv/BoardGamerSteph and chat with us in real time every Wednesday and Sunday night at 5 p.m. Central, where we stream through 3 games or more every single stream. So come join us on Twitch, where we play all the games.
For those on Twitch, we'll be right back
with the playthrough. Yes.